Paul, who wins this?
I do. We do.
Let's talk about ego.
Ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
In my career, I've been told that I have a huge ego. I've been told that my ego isn't big enough and I need more confidence and everything in between. And I think, in terms of creators or people that create things for a living, you kind of have to have somewhat of an ego, right? To think that the things you make and the things that you've created from scratch are valuable, or people want to pay for them or watch them or listen to them. You have to have a little bit of an ego, at least, to be a creative person. I think the term ego is generally to vilify people and talk about the fact that they are, have a huge head or that they're big on themselves. But again, when you're a creative person, you've got to have that drive. And that's definitely the hardest part for me as far as ego is concerned, is when to have a big ego, when to have a small ego. I need a big ego when I'm going in to pitch my product and talk about all the accolades we have or that I have in the industry. And when I'm going to raise money for a company, people want to see that confidence and they want to invest in somebody that has a large amount of confidence and ego in themselves. But then on the other side, when it's time for love with your relationships or friendship or leadership, those are times where ego needs to be pulled back a little bit. We are on the way to a company outing. Did not record any bit of video today because of our back-to-back meetings. We had a very large customer in our office today. A lot of demo calls. Interviews, again, normal day, just getting stuff done. But yeah, now we're gonna have a little bit of fun and hang out with the team a little bit, meet a couple new team members, and yeah, that's that. Rest this camera right here on this pool ledge and hope that it doesn't fall in. Anyway, let's talk about ego for a second. YouTube stars and musicians and actors, these people are fueled by ego, right? And ego now, more than ever, is measurable. How many plays, likes, comments, shares, publications do we get? Those things mean money for creators, and so you have to be focused on those things. But at the same time, when people are just getting started out and you're a creative person, your ego can take a big blow when you post something and it gets 5 views or 0 likes, or you have no subscribers. I mean, look, I have like no subscribers right now, but I will say you send a couple of your videos around and the right people see them. If you have 10 video plays and 2 of them are for people that will buy your product someday or hire you for that perfect job or will book you for that certain gig, if 1 or 2 of those people out of the 10 is your target audience, then that's something you can't measure, right? That's not something that's measured in terms of giant subscriber bases or large play counts, but it's a big factor to consider. And those people who've given us all the most creative, wonderful things in the world to listen to, the songs, the movies, the art, whatever it is, I'm glad that they had that ego. And in fact, a lot of those people have a noble goal that's sort of beyond their ego. Again, you need to have some level of ego to be a creative person. You have to look deeper than just saying that they have a big ego. The world is more connected than ever, and the predictions over the next 5 years mean it's going to get more and more connected devices, more people online, people that aren't even online right now in the world, if you can imagine, are coming online. So the world population is going to be exposed to all this thing that is the internet. And that is a huge opportunity for creative people. And when you think in terms of ego, it's tough to kind of keep that in check, right? You don't want to be the person with the big ego. You want to make sure and stay humble. But the thing about egos is that they are fiction. They're made up in your own head. They're made up in other people's head. Different people have different opinions about your ego. Think about the fact that racehorses are brought up to be these thoroughbred and champion racing horses. They actually race them in many races before they get to the big races, and they put them against slower horses. So they build up their ego, they build up that confidence in themselves, because in the end they'll perform better. And I think, being a creative person is like that. Being praised for your work and having people accept it or buy it or view it once you get into the prime time, that's a lot to wade through before you can actually make a career out of it, before people pay you money for it. And for me personally, that's the hardest thing there is, right? Is changing your ego for the environment you're in. And so learning how to bring that forward and backward is a big part of, I think, growing up as a creative person. I think to all the youngsters out there, that would be a pretty big piece of advice that I have. When you're young, generally things swing your ego from side to side, and you could be crushed by something that happens in a relationship or with your significant other or your friend or something someone said about you. And on the flip side, you have small victories in life that actually might affect your ego in the other way, where it's actually boosting it really high. And I think the older you get and the more experience you get, you tend to learn how to temper that a little bit. I'm not really into giving life advice per se, but I would say that anybody that knows how to temper that a little bit more, not swing so far to the edges, either be all ego or not ego, or learn how to control it, you're going to be better off and happier. When I first started out, I used to care so much about what people thought about my art and my drawings, and I would go to art class and not turn in stuff. I would do maybe 50 drawings and turn in 2 of them or 3 of them because I was happiest with them. And looking back, I wish I would have turned in all of them and really shown everything that I was doing and been able to get feedback from all around, and not be so focused on what people think or how my grades are going to turn out for that piece of creative. That's something that I would definitely give as advice for somebody that is in this field. And even now, who cares about this 40-year-old dude talking into a camera in his yard, right? Who's ever going to watch this? Why would anybody watch it? But at the same time, if one person watches it, or if someone that I know who goes to work for a company that might buy my software someday sees this in my feed or one of my LinkedIn posts or whatever, and they hit me up and they're like, hey, you should come in and present to us. Next thing you know, we have a new customer and we get to hire more people, and all these positive things happen all because of one little video. Plus, I think it'll be kind of cool to look back someday and think about my personality and my demeanor during this time of building a company and kind of being out on my own in business. And when I think back on my career, there were those times where I had to inflate my ego, right? So when I was in high school and it was all about sports and I was more about art, I had to kind of puff up a little bit and really make a decision. Look, I'm good enough to do this. My ego had to take over and be able to prioritize those things. Or when I left all my friends in Detroit and moved to Atlanta to go to art school, it was really advertising school, but to them, why is Chris going to art school in some other state? And then being in marketing school in the late 1900s, it was 1998, it wasn't that long ago. But in 1998, 1999, 2000, digital marketing wasn't that big. So being in a class of doing print ads and TV spots and radio ads, but then bringing up the fact that we could do different things with digital and kind of how people are connected, and email at the time, which wasn't very big, but email marketing, that took ego, right? I had to use my ego to fight through what other people were saying when I knew it was right. And then being in marketing for 15 years, after that, kind of looking to see what was next and seeing platforms start to pop up and become more important. And when, Facebook sort of launched the news feed and I saw an opportunity there, it took my ego. It took a huge ego blow to me from a creative standpoint and a creative leader in the advertising space to leave the marketing advertising agency world and go over to a platform like Facebook. A lot of my friends in marketing at the time didn't understand why I would go and do something like that. And being a creative strategist for a company like Facebook didn't make a lot of sense 5 years ago, but now there are 150 of those around the world, and they're really smart people and they're doing incredible work for brands, and Facebook is the most powerful advertising platform in the world right now. And again, having the ego to think that I was right was important there. And in business, you run up against all kinds of people, people with huge egos that think their way is the right way and that there's only one way to do something. And I think having an ego from a creative standpoint allows me to kind of step back and realize that there are probably 100 right answers to solve this one problem. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You can get out there and get your stuff seen and affect people and inspire people, and it doesn't matter what the trolls say or negative comments say, or if nobody watches it at all, because you put it up there and you made the effort. And I think having that ego is so important, as long as you back it up with that noble goal of other things I want to accomplish because of what I'm doing and because of the work I'm putting out there. So as more content comes online and more people get larger audiences and more platforms. There's so much opportunity for you to express yourself as a creative person and maybe even make money from it. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start putting this stuff out there. And that's what I'm doing. Again, like, who cares what I have to say? But it's important for me to do it. I think I can affect and help people. And, find that noble goal. Balance your ego with your noble goal. And I think you'll be just fine. And one more thing, I suffer from this on a daily, weekly basis, right? Balancing the fact that ATOMIZED is getting written up in the press, or if I do a good job in an interview and that makes it in a kind of a mass distribution format, do I share that on my Facebook news feed and my company's news feed? Do I share it in my Twitter feed? Do I tell my friends about it on Instagram? Do I put it in my LinkedIn profile? All of these things are always balanced with, gosh, I feel like such a douche for bringing this stuff up, but at the same time, it's helping my company grow, and I owe it to my company and I owe it to my people in my professional environment to share that out. But again, that ego thing always gets in the way. Am I too big of an egotistical bastard if I post this stuff up? Or am I not doing my team justice by not sharing it at all? So again, something I struggle with every day. It's not easy, but just that ego thing and the philosophy of these people that are becoming famous on YouTube or Snapchat, whatever it is, with these huge followers, it's becoming very important in marketing, right? I mean, there's a whole influencer strategy of just pay those people to distribute the marketing and brands in the way that they want to do best, and it's actually really working and doing a good job. So there's certainly viable business means there, and I know a lot of those people have huge egos, but at the same time, I know a lot of those people aren't egotistical, and they're doing it because they're good at it and they're sharing their talent with the world. And I would always encourage that part of it, and just, again, balance it, and don't be too quick to judge those people and think that they're just egomaniacs, because at the end of the day, if they're helping and driving and pushing technology and entertainment and marketing forward, that is some of the most important work that any of us can ever do to improve this industry and the whole marketing and technology landscape. Anyway, my 2 cents.
We all sin for a price, you know, but you ain't gonna win if the dice ain't right.